So first of all, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and congratulations to the organizers of this meeting. I think it's courageous to organize such a meeting in these critical times, but it's well justified since, as you just said, Ukraine is having a day of science today. I would like to share some observations of mine with this topic. And those observations may be right, they may be wrong, or they may be both right and wrong at the same time. But I just want to share them with you, and then we can have, I'm soliciting your reaction to it. I think the topic of today's discussion is science, innovation, entrepreneurship. And then, of course, is quite a natural sequence when we talk about value creation. Normally, you start with scientific research. The scientific research produces some concrete results, and those results are the basis for innovative products and or services. And then it takes an entrepreneurial move, namely an active marketing and sales effort to really win customers for those innovative products. So it's a quite natural sequence. And when we look at economic and business history, we see that, in fact, this is the sequence which many successful companies have followed. Take General Electric, take Siemens. They started to do basic research in the electric and electronic field, and then came up with new products in these fields, and then eventually marketed these products. Take another one, take BASF, the chemical company in Germany, that starting from basic chemical research, developed a company that now is the biggest chemical company in the world. Or take Ford, the champion when it comes to introducing automobiles. Again, they always followed that sequence: science, innovation, and then entrepreneurship. Now, not always has this sequence, however, been successful. I can think of one particular incident. For instance, there was a German fellow by the name of Ritzerfeld who was rather successful in developing the duplicating technology. He developed what was at the time called Spirit Duplicator, and which was sold in the USA under the name of Ditto machine, and the UK under the name of Banda machine. But it took another company named Xerox to really make this duplicating development, turn that into a success. And we all know that the Xerox duplicating or copying machine eventually was the most successful copying machine in the world. Or take another one. There's another German fellow that comes to my mind by the name of Konrad Zuse. He was a computer scientist. He built the first calculating or computing machine in wartime, 1941. And that was already based on binary numbers with a program element that could read the program from punch stripes. However, given the difficult times in 1941, of course, he had no chance to really, even though he was a gifted entrepreneur or developer rather, scientist, he had no chance to turn this machine into a world product. And it took others, particularly Americans, IBM, Hewlett-Packard and the like, that developed the computing industry. Now, Asian companies, in particular from Japan and South Korea, concentrated successfully on developing innovative products and services, building on research results that were not their own. They did not do the basic scientific research that allowed them to produce innovative products and services, which they then marketed, but they rather relied on scientific results that had been developed in the USA or in Europe in the beginning. Over time, of course, the Japanese, very much also like the Chinese, have developed scientific capabilities and now are also producing quite tangible scientific results. But in the beginning, they entered the value chain at step 2, namely at producing the products and services and then marketing them. And they were successful in doing so, even on a global basis, because they offered very high quality products and they offered them at rather attractive prices. Now we have already entered a new phase in this value creation chain. science first, innovation, then entrepreneurship. We now have yet a different angle. We have, instead of scientific research-based search for customers, in other words, having the scientific research results, products, and then looking for customers, people or companies turn it around. They look at customer needs or potential needs and desires, and then they look around and say, well, which technology could we use to actually meet those demands? And those is the approach that particularly startups use. You know, they ask themselves, they identify a basic customer need that is currently not being met. And they ask themselves, well, how can we possibly meet that customer desire or demand? And an example is, for instance, a blockchain. Some people would like to transfer money in a completely anonymous way and rather quickly from 1 minute or 1 second to the other. So the industry or the startups realized that blockchain is the right technology to do that. And so this is the beginning of the usage of blockchain technology for the cryptocurrencies, you know, transfer. Or take another example, artificial intelligence. Here too, you know, startups do not develop artificial intelligence per se. They rely on what is already existing, but they use the artificial intelligence to meet potential customer demands. So in essence, I would say the value creation chain that started originally from the scientific research and then went through the innovative products and services through sales and marketing to the customers is now in a way starting from the other end. They start at the recognized or identified customer needs or desires, and then goes backwards and asks itself, what is the technology I can use to meet those needs? Those are my observations. So you see a little bit this traditional value creation chain has now entered a phase where it is no longer 1, 2, 3, but rather 3, 1, 2. So much from my end. I can't hear anybody.
Yeah, it's just yeah. How? Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I would like you to comment on the importance of keeping the original innovator, the person with the vision involved. I'm thinking of Apple when Steve Jobs came and went. I'm thinking of Hewlett-Packard when Bill Hewlett and Dave Packard left and they had change in leadership, and how that affects a company, how important it is to have vision at the head.
Right. Well, when you take the total sector of internet, etc., and also artificial intelligence, of course, the center of these developments for internet certainly is the USA. And the rest of the world, including Europe and also Asia, is having a hard time to catch up and let alone surpass. When it comes to artificial intelligence, I think the end game hasn't started yet. So there I still see also some chances for Europe and also for Asian companies. But you're right, there are always the visionaries that when they are at the helmet of a company, can really develop the course of action, the course of development, and that is very important.
If I may ask a question kindly.
Yes, go ahead.
I've just been thinking about the situation, especially right here in Africa where I am, and I noticed that we could have this process right, no problem. But what is the place of idea generation? Because before even coming up with that research, you must have generated the idea.
Right.
The basis of trying to solve a problem, being innovative about opportunity seeking or something. I believe there could be something around that. Maybe you may want to comment a little bit. Thank you.
Well, that's exactly the point I'm trying to make. In the old days, it was the result of the scientific research that then offered the chance to solve certain problems. Today, many startups are looking at the idea generation first. They develop ideas first before knowing how to solve it. They look at the customer and say, well, here is a problem, here is a chance, here's a possibility to do this and that. And then they look around and say, well, how can I possibly solve this with a technology that exists or is in the making, is in the process of being developed? So it's certainly, it's the idea generation now that the customer is now in a way more in the focus than it used to be in the past. Here's another one.
Thanks. So just remind you about like all listeners about their mics, because it's sometimes very confusing. If you want to ask or just something happen. Yes, Stefan, you're welcome.
Thank you again. This is Stephen from Kenya, Africa. And mine is just to reiterate what Wolves have said, that if you look at the innovation and creativity today, the pace and the order is not as traditionally we know it. And I think that last comment of customer becoming a co-creator is more eminent today than in the past. So I want just to agree with Wolf that it is now probably 3, 1, 2 rather than 1, 2, 3. And also the place of customer in innovation and co-creation. Thank you.
Right. Yes.
Steven Carl,